Hello everyone, welcome back to another exciting tutorial about hint mechanism in a physics puzzle game. So let me walk you through the game. So this is the game that I have been working on since a long time, and this is our final product, a very amazing game as you can see. So the mechanism of this game is you have to put a character, this fiery character, into water. So you just tap on the blocks and character falls into water. But it's not that easy. There are many various tricky levels where you have to use your brain. You have to tap in like sequence or something. For example, here I can do both tap on first block and then second. So let's see, there are various levels as you can see. So level locking mechanism is also there. There are various chapters are also there. So the game has like lots of tricky levels, and you can check out this game if you want. The source code is available. You can download the source code from here. It costs only $30. Complete source code with all the levels and mechanism, character selection mechanism, and a lot more. So let's deep dive into the tutorial. So we have as the title says, we are going to learn the hint mechanism. So here, as you can see in this level, if I tap anywhere, so suppose user is not able to complete this level, user can tap on hint, and then it will tell the user exactly when and where to tap. So at particular time I have to tap on this block, and then after some time I have to tap on this block. So it is telling exactly where to tap. Isn't this amazing? So let's see how it is done. So I have simplified the code as much as I can so that you can understand the code very easily. Also, you have any doubt, feel free to contact me via comment section. Ask any question regarding the tutorial. So let's get started. Class called hint helper. So it contains variables like hint hand, hint mask. This hint hand is of type public game object, and hint mask is also of type public game object. So let's go into the inspector, let's go into the editor and see how these work. So as you can see, whenever I tap on hint, there is a hand that shows up and it tells me which object to tap and where. So this position, as you can see, we will manipulate the position of this hand via code, and we will like it shows us which object to tap, and also to give some sort of a hint effect, what we do is we enable this game object called hint mask. So it gives user the feeling that it is inside the hint state. So how we are doing is inside our hint helper, we have taken the reference of this hint hand and hint mask, and we are enabling them. So for now, let's set it active to false. Let them be false, and then we have a list of game object called clickable objects. So what this clickable object do is it is taking reference of all the objects that are clickable. So inside this scene, as you can see, we have this block here which is clickable, and this block here clickable. These two blocks are clickable and rest other UI is not clickable. So we are taking the reference of all the objects that are clickable and storing it in this list of game object. And then we have a bool, private static bool called reload from hint click. So it is indicating that our game is reloaded from hint click. So it checks if this variable is true, then we have to enable this hand to set active true, this our hint mask to true. So it will tell our code that this game is reloaded from hint click, and then we can process our functions like show hint and on hint. So we will discuss like how we are using this in later very soon. And this variable bool is in hint is also very useful. It tells us if we are in hint state. And then we have this list of game object called hint object, this index called hint index, open edit. So I'm gonna discuss about all these variables very soon with the help of the functions where we are using it. So let's first go into this awake function. Inside our awake function, first we are taking reference of this sprites game object. So we are storing it inside a variable called game object that is of type game object. So we can, like, as you know, we can name it anything we want, and I just named it game object. So it is taking the reference of this sprites game object here. So we are taking the reference of the sprites game object here because we are storing all our sprites, all our objects inside this sprites game object so that we can access its child very easily. As you can see, all the sprites are here except this water and cloud. Only our cloud and our water are not inside the sprites because we don't want to access them in our game. Rest all are inside these sprites game object. So we have to access this block click 1 and this block click 2. We will access them with the help of our sprites game object. And then another function that is, now we need reference of these clickable object like this click 1 and click 2, and we have to store it inside our clickable objects so we are doing it with the help of this function called get clickable objects. So inside our what our get clickable object is doing, it is taking a parameter of type, okay, as you can see, transform. So we are giving it the transform of our sprites game object, as you can see, game object dot transform, and also it is returning a list of game object that is exactly what we need for clickable objects. So here first we are assigning a list of game object. If we are creating a list of game object, an empty list of game object, and then we are taking the child count of this parent.transform.child count. With this help of parent.transform.child count, we are getting the child count of this sprite. Why we are taking the child count? Because we need to run a for loop, and we need to understand how many times we need to run this for loop. So as many child are there, as many times this loop will run. As you can see, these are the childs, so our loop will run that many times. So now inside this, it will check for every child. It will take a reference of every child with this transform, this variable child of type transform, and it will see parent.transform.getChild. So it will first run for this particular child, and then this, and then this. So it will check for every child if child.name is equal to man and child.name is equal to water, and it is excluding that. We don't want to access this man and water. So here this child name is man or child name is water, so it will exclude that child so that we don't have to go further. Here as you can see, inside man there are lots and lots of child there, so we are excluding this. So our loop, so it will help us avoid all these executions. And also water I have like set it active to false, so no need to worry. And then it will check if child.tag is equal to clickable, then list.add child.gameObject. So if our child tag is clickable, then add that game object to our list, here the list that we have created. And then we are assigning list.addRange this.get clickable objects.child. So now we are adding that particular object to our list. And how, so this is how we are doing it. So inside all of my clickable object that I want to be tappable, I'm just making its tag clickable. So now this is how we are getting this into a list, and then we are returning this list to our clickable objects. So now our clickable objects will store all the objects that are clickable. So as you can see here, my block click, so it will store. So it is gonna look something like this. So will look something like this. First one is block click 1, And then another second one is this block click to here. So this is what our clickable objects is storing now. And then we are checking if hint helper dot reload from hint click. So now it is checking an awake function whether our game is in hint state or not. So guys, now let's see how it is checking whether our game is in hint state or not. So as you can see, hint helper dot reload from hint click is being checked here. So let's see how we are manipulating or how we are changing this reload from hint click. So what's basically happening is this function called onHint is being called from another class called gameController. So what this class is doing, whenever we let's go to the code first. Let's go to the inspector first or editor first. So now as you can see here on this controller, here we have like a class attached to it called game controller. So inside our game controller, what we are doing is we are calling this function from the hint helper class. So it is calling like this: unity engine dot object or find object of type hint helper dot onHint. So it is first accessing this class hint helper and then calling its function called onHint. So on hint, what we are doing is we are first assigning hint helper dot reload from hint click to true, and then we are reloading the scene. Now this will remain true because this variable here is static, and as you guys might know that static variable stays even if the class reloads, because they are associated with the class, not with the objects. Now our hint helper.reload from hint is true, and we have reloaded this scene via these lines. This says that scene is equals to scene manager.get active scene. So we get the active scene and we say scene manager.load scene.name. So now we reload the scene, and when our scene gets reloaded on an awake, we are testing if hint helper.reload from hint click. So this is obviously true, and then this function gets called show hint. This show hint function is very interesting function. So let's see how it works. So first of all, we set active true our hint mask. So as you can see, this is our hint mask here. So this is our hint mask. So first we activate this to true, and then we make this reload from hint click to false, so that next time when the scene reloads, so there obviously we have completed the game and we don't want to see hint again. And then we set that is in hint is equals to true. So this in hint will just tell the current state, that is game in hint, and then that our game is in hint, so that is why it is true. And then the very important thing that we are doing is first we are taking the name of the current scene, and then sorry, first let's see, we have two variable here, that is name and name2. So what our name is doing, name is of type string, that is taking level manager dot get current scene section name section get current section dot name. So what it is doing is, when what this function do is this function gets the name of the current section. So our game has various sections, as I have told before, like here as you can see. Let me show you around with the different sections that we have. So inside scene you can see there are various sections named balloon, bubble, catapult, conveyor, fall, fan, etc, etc. So we are currently in swing section. So our first name, that is our first value, that is name, it will get the current section name. So for example here our section is swing, and then our name2 will get the scene manager dot get active scene dot name. So our current active scene, as you can see, our current active scene name is swing underscore 2. So our scene 2 will take this, and when we will have this swing underscore 2. So now with the help of these two variables, we will access the resources or the text. What is this text is, let's see. So we are we have like here we have declared one text of type string, and we are accessing resources.load text asset hints slash release slash name to dot text. So let's go to our this is the way of taking or accessing any text stored in our resources folder. So this is a unity predefined method that I am using. So as you can see, I have a folder called resources. Inside resources I have one more folder. Let's see what it is named. It is called release. So inside resources, let's go to the release. Oh sorry, first we have to go to the hints, and then inside hint we have to go to the release, and inside release we have to go to the swing, and inside swing we have to go to swing 2. So let's see what this swing 2 is. So here this swing 2 is a JSON format. As you can see, it is in JSON format, and it is indicating our hints data. So like we have this first object, and this object is containing a list, and this list has two other objects, and these two objects have these two like variables. As you can see, this is first one is time, and that is telling us some time in seconds, and the second one is index. So what this time and index stores is this time stores at what time we need to tap, and this index tells us at which object we need to tap. So this is the very important data, and in next video I am gonna tell you how to generate this data for every hint. So please support me with with these videos guys, because it takes a lot of time and effort to make such concepts, and so that is why I'm not like this is a very deep concept. So I will be telling about this concept in a later video, in a next video. For now, let's just say that we have this generated already. We have this data and how we are accessing it. So here we have this text which is pointing towards this JSON swing2.json. Now let's see how we are decoding it. So we already have a variable of type hint bean list. So what this hint bean list class is, this hint bean list class, it contains a list of hint bean. So let's see what this hint bean is. So this hint bean, it contains a variable time of type float and index of type hint. So as you can see, this might seem much more familiar to you now. So if I just copy this swing JSON and paste it here, so as you can see, this hint bean list can be referred to this hints list, because as you can see this here, it contains a list of hint bean. This hints, it contains a list of hint bean. Or what hint bean is, hint bean has two variables. First one is time and second one is index. So this whole can be imagined as this swing JSON. So first this is our hint bean, which is the list of the list of this object called hint bean list, which is the list of this object hint bean. And how our hint bean looks, it has a time and an index. Similarly, we have a time and index. So now, as you can see, we are just typecasting it. As you can see, we are saying hint bean list is equals to JSON utility dot from JSON hint bean list and then text. So we are typecasting this text to our hint bean list class. So this JSON utility dot from JSON, this is also a utility function through which you can with the help of which you can easily decode any text into its JSON. And now what we are doing is this dot hint object is equals to list of game object. So now we are creating a new list of game object, and then we are running a for each loop for hint bean list dot hints. So for every hint we are running a loop. So let's, and then we just like named it current for a current hint. So now our hint bean of type hint bean is equal to current. So it will just point towards the first variable, like first object, and then it will, now we are creating a new game object called item is equals to null, and then we are checking if hint bean index is not equal to -1, then item is equals to, we are just checking for safety purpose if this index is not -1. So as you know that index cannot go negative for the objects that we are storing. So just for safety purpose, we are checking if index is not equal to -1, and then we are assigning item is equals to this dot clickable objects hint bean dot index. So now what we are doing is we are accessing this our hint bean objects that we have initialized in the away function, and via index we are accessing that. So first it will access the object of first index. So our item is equals to clickable object of hint bean list index, and then this dot hint object dot add item. So now we have added our item into this empty list called hint object that we have initialized recently. And now what we are doing is we are initializing index is equals to this dot hint object dot count -1, so that we can get the correct index. And now this function is very useful. This is time dot register, and then we are assigning the time here, exact time that we want from our hint. So here as you can see, suppose for example for our index 1, so our time is 0.82 seconds. So this time dot register will run the code here after that delay. So here hint bean dot time, as it says, so for example, so this code will execute after 0.8 seconds. So it will time, so first this line will execute time dot time scale is equals to 0. Whenever we do time dot time scale is equals to 0, this will pause the game. So whenever you do time dot time scale is equals to 0, this means the game will be paused, and then we are activating our hint hand. So here as you can see, very interesting thing. So our hint hand will get activated. Now where our hint hand have to be shown will be, we will show this with the help of this next line. So this says this dot hand dot transform dot position is equals to this dot hint object index. So this current object index dot transform to position. So as you know that we have accessed this clickable object, so it is pointing to that particular clickable object, as this clickable object is being stored in this hint object, and then now we are accessing its index. So very easily we are accessing the position of that particular object. So our hint hand will show, will we set it to true and will position exactly at the object that we want user to tap. So this is how we are showing our hint. So now next function that we have to the very last function that we have to go through is our check function. So this our check function will ensure that the user has tapped on the correct object. So this will return true and false whether we have tapped on the correct object or not. So first what it will do, it will initialize the time scale. It will check if time scale is not equal to 0, then return false. Also if this dot hint object dot count is equal to hint index, then also return false. And now finally if this dot hint object dot index is equal to clicked object, then this dot hand will be set active to false, and this dot time scale will be equal to 1, and this dot hint index will be increased, that is we are assigning this dot hint index plus plus, and then it will return true. So what this particular line is doing, first it will set active this r hint to false, and then it will say that now we can run our game. So our time scale will be equal to 1, and then this dot hint index will be increased so that we can go further to the another object. That is, like, after, suppose if this execution is this object is being clicked, then we can go for the next object, and this loop will run for how many times? The hint bean dot hints. So as many JSON objects are there, so as many times this our for each loop will run, and then after completion of this for each loop, our level will be completed, and let's see how the result will look like. So I hope guys this tutorial will help you, and also if you have any doubts or queries, you can let me know. So I would love to like interact with you guys, and would love to like give my inputs into your games, and I would love to grow our community. So let's see how everything goes. So this is the label, and let's click on the hint. So okay, so we are okay, so our hint hand is not showing, right? Let's see. So this is live debugging, guys, and let's try to fix this error live. Okay, so this is just a small thing. So what happened is accidentally I setted this thing to false instead of this, so that's why it is happening. So now we tap here, and then it is saying to tap here, exactly how we wanted, and now our game is completed. So our hint mechanism is now working perfectly fine. In the next tutorial, I would like to tell you guys how we can generate these JSON ourselves. So if you want to create a hint for another label, so how we can create a hint for our label, and how this JSON is sorry how the, and how this JSON is generated. So we will see how in next level you can create your own JSON like this. So that is gonna be a really exciting and informative tutorial. If you like this tutorial, and for more such tutorials, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do like and share this video, and also you can check out my game here. The complete source code is available. This game has lot of functionalities. Also, I will be available for you if you face any difficulty in implementing any of the functionality. So if you buy this code, you will get like character selection. This has language localization. It is very much easy to reskin, and the level mechanism is really awesome, guys. So you are gonna learn a lot from this game, and I assure you that I will help you in any way you want. If you feel like any doubt or any queries you have, feel free to contact me, guys, and we will meet in the next tutorial. Bye bye, guys.